little bob. Like, I want to come out with Kameelah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna see how this sitting up straight thing goes.
Yeah, let's see how that is. Everybody vibe it out. 1, 2,
No, we gotta
side to side.
No, you gotta do the swag surf.
Hello, you guys. Welcome to Ameerah Explains It All. Ameerah Explains It All podcast. I'm your host, Ameerah. This is my lovely host.
I'm Ameerah.
She don't know she's Ameerah. Hey, right? You feel me? No, but I'm Ameerah, your host. I'm your host. I'm your host. Okay, that's some new shit. Okay, that means I jump through your fucking your screens and your mics and your monitors, and I just bust it wide open. That's a whole coast, okay? But honestly, no. I'm Ameerah, and this is Kameelah,
AKA the Sun Goddess. What's up, you guys?
and welcome to another great show. Today, we're going to be talking about generational curses and childhood trauma. And all that good shit that people do not want to talk about.
It's okay. This is the truth circle.
Yeah. And before we even get started, you know what I'm saying? If you're into, topics like this and you want to learn more about topics like this, I need you to, just give me a like, comment, share, and let us know a little bit about, what you've been going through or just how it is or what you've learned throughout your journey, trying to break generational curses. And, we'll go from there. But anywho...
Let's let you start.
Oh, well, I'm gonna start today. Okay.
She was about to send it to me.
I was about to throw it. Hey, take it over here. No,
I would have caught it, but I want to just give it to her first.
Okay, let's see. I got so much trauma, so many generational curses.
Can I just go and say that we have the same mother and father?
We do have the same mother and father.
And
my mother has 4 children. My mom has 8 in total, but 4 of us all share the same mom and dad. So we are 2 of the 4 that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, in this.
But that doesn't mean, that doesn't mean our experience a little bit, but it's just a little bit. It does.
And that's what I was about to say. With all the children, we all share a different mother, meaning like we all had different parts of my mom at different stages of her life. So we didn't experience the exact same thing, but we have the same mother because, my first sister was 16 and the youngest was, how old was my age?
37 or 36.
Right.
So we have siblings that have experienced a teenage mom. Mm-hmm. We have siblings that have experienced a very young mom in her 20s.
Right.
And then you have the siblings that, like us, we experience more of like, a home, a marriage. Well, at least in the beginning, it wasn't always like,
I don't remember that.
It was like real short. Look, by the time I was born, I said by the time I was 5, it was a wrap. You know what I'm saying? But, so let's see.
What is something you remember?
Look, I'm like, where do I want to start? With the generational curses or the childhood trauma? So the first thing, let's start right here. Okay, I want to point out a generational curse that my mom actually broke. Within, like, she broke it first. Well, there is some things that she broke, and she was consciously letting us know that she was breaking that cycle. Mm-hmm. And I will continue on, and that's like, like basically beating your children and it doesn't mean that like, when I do have children, I won't discipline them. If they need to be touched up or left, some kids, I think it's going to be like 3 times in the kid's life where they're going to get fucked up in my Bernie Mac voice. Like kids just need, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. Sometimes they need a little.
It's going to be the slick ages. It's going to be the real slick.
Yeah, slick like, I would say like
smarter than you.
I would say like 7, they need that first good ass whooping. Then like
12,
11, 12, right. And then like 16, and then that's it. Like that's all they need. You know what I'm saying? And then like
they should know the game.
Exactly, and there ain't nothing wrong with that because lions do that to their cubs all the time. They rough them motherfuckers up. Like you better straighten up. This world, your ass gonna get ate by the motherfucking zebras and all this other shit. And you better stop bitching up. Yeah. So I don't think anything is wrong with discipline, but. According to my mom, she said that she was definitely child abused. That's no disrespect to my grandparents, but she just said that she was definitely abused as a child, verbally and physically. So as a result, she didn't you know, she probably like hemmed us up in the corner if we was like mouthing off. But she never.
My mama kids was off the chain.
But she ain't never like, you know, just like closed hand, like punched us, belt. You know, I never got those. I never got that. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, I got backed into a corner with that motherfucking finger, like. And, you know, that was enough. I didn't play that after that. I was like, this motherfucker might kill me. Like, this is serious.
See, and I just learned from my older siblings, like when my mom used to grab them up sometime and she didn't even hit them. I used to be like, ooh, I ain't doing that.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So
no, sir.
She had a great point. I mean, she had, you know, different examples to learn from, you know. So I like that my mom said, I didn't like the way that felt. You know, my mom said, I didn't like being cursed out and talked too crazy. So I try not to talk to my kids all crazy. I try not to, you know, I try to use other ways, other methods to talk to my kids. I'm not saying her other methods were you know,
the best.
Great, the best, but she tried something different. She was
trying to unlearn and relearn.
Yeah, she was trying to do something different, you know what I'm saying? And like I can see where she tried it, you know, the things that she tried with us, and then I can kind of fine tune, you know, those type of situations when my kids come along or whatever, because I feel like I'll have more patience, but you never know. I don't know. I have not had children yet. So, but in my mind, I will have more patience. So I'll be able to talk to my kids. I'll be able to understand them more. And that's just not in the cards for me to ever it's really not in the cards for me to ever verbally or physically abuse my kids. Now, people, they be thinking like, oh my God, like, then what are you going to do? Nothing, because my kids are going to respect me. So I can't see it going no other way. Like, people be like, so what you going to do when your kid? I don't plan on none of that.
Right. We're not putting that even in the universe.
I'm not even putting that in the universe. But if it does happen, let me tell you something. I'm this type of parent, and I ain't even a parent yet. I'm this type of parent. Soon as your motherfucking ass start thinking that you could do better outside of me, and I'm the one. I don't understand parents that be letting these kids run over, talk to them all crazy, and you pay the bills, you finance their whole damn life, and they think that they can come at you crazy and you just allow that. The door is, I don't give a damn, like, the door is right there. As soon as you get old enough to where you can, like, as soon as you start thinking that, because I definitely need my children to learn. I'm not going to be sitting here trying to plead with no kid that think, no, if you think you can really do better, I've
been on this work for a long time.
And I'm going to tell my kid, whatever, there's sex traffickers out there, there's people that rape people, there's people that do all type of crazy shit.
For $20.
And you think that your ass going to go out there in that street without your parents' guidance and think that we're not there, you know, and think that you can do a better job of protecting yourself at a very young age, a very adolescent age, better than... Hey, and then and I'm not saying I would ever want nobody wants anything to happen to their child. Like I said, you're going to stop them. You're going to do whatever you can. But like, if they ever get to a point where they just feel like, because I know I'm going to provide such a beautiful life for them. And if they're too dumb to see how good the life is, then I really feel like that. I feel like the cars got to land where the fuck they land or whatever. Like, if something ended up happening to my child, if they were too ignorant or naive to understand and comprehend or whatever, then, you know, hopefully they can just get out there and some bullshit, like a little bit of bullshit happen where it can teach them a lesson, and then they can come back and they'll be safe. Right. But if some fucked up shit do end up happening, I'm not going to sit there and act like I didn't tell my child, like, or I didn't try to protect them and they running away and all this other shit. So, like I said, I don't even think about my kids doing anything like that, but you just never know because, you know, nobody ever knows 100% how their children are going to turn out or what they're going to do, but whatever. So, anywho, back to these generational curses, child trauma. Okay, so my mom had a lot of kids, right? So, so my mom and dad, they told me that before they divorced, back in the 80s, they had like almost, not quite, but between the two of them, they had like almost a $10,000 income. Now, back in the 80s, that was kind of a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is. I mean, it's a lot of money right now. If you got like an $8,000 income, and I don't care how many kids you got, it don't take that much to raise all these damn kids. But I think $8,000 is, like, it's not a whole bunch of money, but it's enough money where you're not living in poverty, struggling, and stuff like that. So after my parents, like, divorced and everything got all effed up and bad, you know, my mom was a single parent, and like shit just went like real south, like, you know what I'm saying? So when she told me that like they had that type of income, I couldn't even imagine, because like we always struggled after my parents, you know, divorced.
Right.
So we learned a lot of bad money ways, bad money management, because my mom was so busy trying to make it and survive, you know, with all her children, you know, and just doing what she could or whatever, that when we grew up, we were paying bills, partial payments and shit. We were just doing a bunch of bullshit. We were operating from a space of having like a bunch of kids when we didn't even have kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were spending money like, you know, like
drinking water
scarcely, you know what I'm saying? Like as if we were just trying to, like, that shit is really like, it can go on for generation to generation. You know what I'm saying? So I had to realize like, it ain't cool. Pay your bills on time in full, you know, and like build your credit up, you know, a lot of stuff that my mom could not worry about because she was in survival mode, that I had to realize or whatever, like why things were the way they were. It wasn't just because, you know what I'm saying? I think that's the first thing to healing childhood trauma. You have to, I always tell people, like when they tell me about like their parents or whatever, I say, you got to think about where your parents got that from. They were once, you know, 5-6-year-olds, you know what I'm saying? And they got that from their your grandparents, which are their parents, and they got that from their parents. And you know, it's just, that's why they call it a generational curse, because it keeps getting passed down. And you got to remember whatever, like how these people were raised, our great-great-grandparents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, how they were raised, and then how they were, that's why it has to stop, because a lot of old school traditions are cool, but a lot of them old school ways is fucked up.
They are outdated.
Outdated and fucked up. Like
I can't
how like the whole roles thing.
Your mama did it. I know, that's why I'm not doing it.
Exactly.
I know she did the best she could, but that shit is outdated.
Yeah, like your mama, you know, she took care of. She struggled and took care of y'all, and y'all came out just fine. Okay, but who said I want to struggle and take care of my fucking kids? I don't want to. What?
I said, you know what it took me to get here? Like my sanity? Like, no.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, it really does take a lot of like rewiring your brain, because you have to really first start off by saying, okay, is this right? Like, am I really doing this from like, whatever it is? Like I say, it could be from anywhere from how you manage money to how you talk to other people, your relationships, how you talk to your children, what you think is acceptable, from the things you eat, you know, your style of eating. If you see that your style of eating is, you know, poisoning and damaging, you know, the lineage in your family, everybody got high blood pressure, everybody got diabetes. It's okay to say, you know what, I want to eat a little different than the people that have come before me and my family, so I can have a longer life expectancy, so I can be here to see my great-grandchildren, because most of the people in my family have died off in a younger age. You know what I'm saying? So it's okay to identify things that have not been working in your life. In your life and in your family, and then want to change them, or you know what I'm saying? Like really want to change them, and then start taking like small steps. Like I didn't like just start paying bills on time overnight. I didn't start paying bills in full overnight. Like it took like, you know, my partial payments had to like increase little by little. You know, the partial payments went from little to little all the way up until full, you know. And then after they went to full, you know what I'm saying, they went from, you know, being 2 weeks late to being a week late to being a couple days late to finally like, now they just on time. I ain't got to the point where I'm paying this shit early yet, but I'm almost there. You know, some people, they be like, shit, I pay my shit like days before it's even due and stuff like that. Or auto pay, you know what I'm saying? I ain't on auto pay yet. But I am keeping up with, Tuesday the 17th, this bill's due. Let me make sure I get that in on time. You know what I'm saying? So I just been doing my best, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially in regards to our family's health. I'm definitely trying to better myself with the way that we were brought up, because we have diabetes on diabetes runs on our father's side. And then, cancer and high blood pressure and that type of stuff runs on my mom's side. But I know it's because of lifestyle, you know, environment and the things that we put into our body. So that's why, you know, I even, you know, come up with this whole podcast, and on my Instagram and all my pages, they're kind of health oriented and mindset oriented as far as just positivity. Because if you were not raised like that, if that was never like a thing in your household, you won't have a point of reference to, you know, even direct that. Like I think my point of reference was, I mean, some people get their point of reference from TV. You know, J. Cole said, you know, what'd he say? Uncle Phil was the best dad. That's a lot of people's point of reference. Like Bill Cosby, Bill Huxtable. Was that his name?
Family Matters.
Yeah, you know, Carl Winslow, right. Uncle Phil. All those were their examples of what a good father should be. Nobody's in the family, you know, just gave them any type of direction. And luckily, I got mine from a little bit of everything, you know what I'm saying? Because I've met, you know, I had different childhood friends along the way where, you know, how they gathered and they communed together with their family. I took pieces of that, like, that's what I want for my family in the future. And then I had, I had other friends who were a lot worse off than, you know, how I was raised. And I was like, okay, I don't want none of that. Like, you know, you have to see the difference. But there are people in this world who they only see one side. They only see one side. They don't have any point of reference. It ain't Uncle Phil, like they didn't even have time to watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. They probably didn't have cable. They didn't even have a TV. There's people out there, they didn't even have a TV growing up to even watch this stuff. Right. You know what I'm saying? To have that, you know what I'm saying? So it gets that deep, you know what I'm saying? So like I said, from the way I think, you know, because I noticed that my family, a lot of people in my family, they're very just pessimistic, you know what I'm saying, kind of paranoid. And I know like people are like that because of the things that have happened in their family. So, in their family that have happened in their life. So if if there's people in your family who they probably associated with a lot of bad people in their life and a lot of fucked up shit that's happened to them, they're going to start looking at everybody, including their family, that, you know, has, you know, looking at them like, oh, like everybody's against me. And that's good. Or there are people out there who started out where their family was the first people that did them wrong and did them in. And now when they meet friends and they meet people outside of their family, they start thinking everybody's just has some type of ulterior motive to try to want to fuck them over. And it is such a messed up mindset to have. And I see a lot of people as loving and genuine we are, people be skeptical of us in the family. They be like, so do you think? I'm like, motherfucker, you the one I gotta watch out for, not me. Like, I ain't burnt nobody ever in my life. And when I say burnt, I'm talking about like, you know, stole money, lied, did any of that type of stuff. And you got people that are judging you that have actually done that type of stuff.
They think you were just way too nice.
Yeah, they like, they can't even trust your niceness. They can't even trust your night. They like, nah, this motherfucker, I know I don't even want to feel like, you know what I'm saying? And that's when I back off and I'm just like, cool, whatever. So, like I said, I definitely am happy that I never adopted that mindset. And like I said, I'm definitely glad that I'm cleaned up, you know, my eating and stuff, because to break that generational curse of having just health problems when you get older, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, I'm tired of like everybody in our family, like, it's not okay to keep having health problems as you get older. I
never wanted pain, you know what I'm saying?
And it ain't even as older, they be hella young. Like, my mom had health problems in her 20s, you know what I'm saying? Grandparents, same thing. Everybody had health problems very young in their life or whatever, you know what I'm saying? They probably still live to be older, but I don't want to even go through pain in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, like, you know what I'm saying? Now, I understand naturally as you get older, but I don't want my body to start even breaking down until I get in my 80s or 90s where I'm starting to feel a little bit of, or not even that, I can't even say that, because like I said, my wish is just like to die in my sleep peacefully, pain free. Right. You know, I like other people, they want to die on the operating table, or they want to die full of pain and medicated up and Tylenol and Percocet up out the. I don't want nothing to do with that. But teach his own, whatever. And like I said, those are the things that I am working on, healing my mindset. I mean, you know, I'm on the journey. My mindset, my eating, my nutrition, and, you know, my money management, you know, because that was bad in my family. And those are probably the three main things. But yeah, those are probably the three main things. What do you think about, like, what's your...
So much. But doubting myself was one thing, because I feel like...
Do you think that you got that from, that's a generational thing? Or is that just...
Well, I feel like when you don't instill that into anyone, because mommy was so focused on feeding us, she had no time to cheer us on and help us be creative to build whatever we wanted to be as adults. Right. So now...
So what you don't say to your children is just as important as what you do say to their children. So we probably didn't have a parent, like, you know, you probably might not have a parent that is cursing you out or talking crazy to you, but the fact that they probably might not even have time to encourage you and instill that faith and instill that confidence in you as a child or whatever, that could be detrimental to your future too, because you might not know how to be confident. Like you know, and then there's some people that's just naturally born like that. You know, they watch somebody on TV and they're like, yeah, I could do that. You know what I'm saying? Right. And there's some people like their parents was like, nah, like this is what, like, you know, they instilled that into them. But
so it's like I couldn't wait to be an adult, not for the same reasons as some of my friends, because, you know, I used to love going. I've known my friends all since like first, second grade, and they disciplined me like if they got in trouble, like we all in trouble. Right. And I actually used to like that because like we didn't get in trouble.
We didn't get in trouble.
We didn't get in trouble. We didn't have no structure. If we was out, we was just out. And thank God nothing ever happened to us. But
I always say that. Thank God my mom raised like some good enough kids to where
we wasn't doing
even though we didn't have we didn't have like strict structure in our home, we weren't out.
Yeah,
we weren't out stealing. We weren't out having hella sex, doing all type of crazy stuff. Like in our young guys, we were just kicking it at our friend's house. So and we came home whenever we wanted to come home. We just
I'm like, I can eat dinner over here. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And I know my mom, she has so many of us. She just wanted a break. Like, you know what I'm saying. And then on top of that, you know what I'm saying, other things that played a factor. Of course, like, you know, your parents could be on drugs. Your parents could be schizophrenic. Your parents could be anything that, you know, because it's not very common that, you know, you have children and they just don't have like this structure, this, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people have their kids on a what is it called, a program or whatever.
Right. So that's one thing that I'm working on now. Like, you know, I'm trying not to, I do have the fire more often now. I'm just to the point where I don't want to lose the fire. So it'll be like 2 or 3 days where I'll be like, yeah, I can do it. And then that thing in the back of your head is like, man, do you really think you can do it? And I'm like, shut your ass up. You can do it. Like, you can do it. All these people telling you and believing in you. And like I said, my mom never said I couldn't do it. But like she said, it's just as important. Health, she broke that generational curse for me. Because I told you guys in other podcasts.
She the only one out there ate that, listen.
Yeah, everybody else is just, there was
everybody else winging it.
So much pushback. And like they said, mommy cooked it. And look where mommy is now. No disrespect, mom, but like your mom is in an early grave, like, because, you know, of all the lard and the bacon fat and all the cheese and sour cream and stuff like that, and thinking that's just what life is, and it's not. And I didn't like being in pain, so thank her for, you know, acknowledging that is a problem, because I really thought it was in my family to be sick. So that's one generational curse that was broken for me. I've always paid my bills on time. It's been since I became an adult.
She knew when she turned 18, fuck that shit.
No, because I just hated that ghetto ass shit.
Don't be talking about the ghetto, okay?
I just hated it because, we're very open about our family for the most part. So I can say this, like, there was a point in time where, you know, we didn't have electricity and we were borrowing electricity, thank God, from like the neighbors that love my mom. So we literally had an extension cord over the gate borrowing electricity. And I said, I will forever pay my bills on time. Like,
she knew at that look, and right then, and little Kameelah knew.
And little Kameelah knew.
She knew I was going to get a job and work hard and pay my bills on time.
Yep. And I was just like, no, I didn't know anything about credit. I've heard about it with some of my friends in school. And I'm like, how do you have a credit card? But nobody has ever explained to me the benefits of having credit. And I know in a lot of Black communities, they like think it's bad to get credit cards, but they're just using it the wrong way.
Right.
And let's see, eating credit, and I think this is my biggest one so far. My mom did have a lot of children, and like I said, she couldn't focus on each child. So some may have or may have not feel more neglected than others. I know I wanted to play the drums and I couldn't because it was too many of us. Go on field trips and just do different things, like if my friends weren't paying for it. So it kind of made me not want to ever have children, because I'm just like, I don't ever want to do that to my kids, because it goes back to where I wasn't believing in myself that I could be successful, that I could be.
Even that's a mindset, a generational curse in the mindset, as far as like, I had to break that too. Like, just automatically assuming you're going to be a single mom because that's all you know how to operate from.
Exactly.
You only know how to operate from single mom mode and you're doing it by yourself or whatever. So I'm like, stop thinking like that. Like don't even fucking find a man like that. Like,
love you. He want to be in a 2-parent household. But it's true. I really, and this is like dead ass serious. I wasn't even open. Like, to other people, I'd be like, oh, maybe, just so I wouldn't have to talk about it. But I wasn't really honestly open with myself about having children until last year. I would say, like, I probably can have a kid. And I'm thinking, like, I'm not fucking having no kids. Like, because I was more out of fear. Not because I didn't love
that's
children.
Why I used to try to push it on her. I'm like, you're just... I don't know. Maybe it's because of how intuitive I am. I could just always tell when somebody is coming from a place like... I don't think there's anything wrong with women who do not want to have children. They say, that's just not me. That's just not my path. But I can tell when a woman is saying that out of just like some background noise, whatever's going on, whether it's childhood trauma, whether it's fear from whatever relationships, whether it's whatever, it's something like I can just tell the energy behind it because you could just tell the heart rate move up and just how the inflection in their voice that it's not coming from like, Nah, it ain't that you don't want to have kids. It's something else behind it. Like, nah, sis, it's something behind it, you know?
And thank God that this is my age because she be... But I'm very receptive, too, because, like she said, there's 8 of us, and I'm the only one that's on board. And it's not that I don't make my own decisions, but when shit makes sense, it just makes sense, you know? And I went soul searching for myself and saying, like, Kameelah, like, what is this? Like, don't contradict... If you say you are great and you say you're smart and you believe you can do anything, then put your mind to it. You know what I mean? Don't be scared to move forward. And that's what I'm working on. She get me turned up
just talking about it. Let's go.
But seriously, like, I mean, just even from the youngest, you know, she's only 3 years older than me, but even from childhood, she's literally been schooling me on things that she's learned from her friends or whoever. And she'll literally take me to the side, walk to the store, and just been like, listen, this is what this is and that. And I really be like, okay, that makes sense, you know?
And then I just recently found out it's in my natal chart. I'm like a natural healer and teacher. Like, a lot of people have a lot of people have those aspects, some stronger than others. Mm-hmm. But just her saying that, like you said that, like, I realized like I am. Like, I remember, like, I used to tell people all the time, like, that my favorite game to play when we were kids, it was teacher. It really I said, all my little sisters and brothers, like, sit down, listen to me, what the fuck I say. No, I'm playing. I wasn't like that, but I just always love giving people information that they didn't know. And that's why I'm, like, such a student. Like, I love learning stuff that I didn't know. Like, I love when people come into my life and they schooling me on some shit that I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? Or some shit that can help me or some shit that's beneficial to me. Like, that's why I'm so grateful for the people in my life that have taught me key things that I have carried for years with me. Right. Stuff that you can tell other people that can benefit them. Stuff that you can pass down to your children that'll benefit them and your grandchildren and your grandchildren. Right. So I definitely just try to be like a natural student. But yeah.
Pounds to us.
Pounds, boom. You know? But yeah, today, so we got some callers or whatever, and you know, our story is very similar. So I wanted to get some different point of views on you know, childhood trauma, generational curses, how other people feel about it. Because I realized that, like, a lot of people do not want to face themselves. Like, we have so many friends that are doing well in life, who are on a great journey, friends that have just did great things with their life, who have overcome so many things, and they're afraid to, like, speak on the podcast because people are not ready to talk about that dark stuff in the past. Like, it really hurts people. And you know, I think the only reason why it's easy for me because I think I've been trying to face that shit for years, opposed to somebody who's buried they shit and they just now digging it up. And it's like, you know, I'm just starting to see, because I always wonder, like, why is it so hard? But I feel like I never buried my stuff. Yeah. I just felt like I probably put it to the back seat, but I never buried it.
Well,
you know
what I'm saying? I had a short, angry period of my life, and once again, she pulled me out of it. She really did. I asked her, you know, I was like, oh, if people don't love me, well, I don't love them. People don't want to be there for me, well, I don't fucking want to be there for them. And
she was
like,
angry.
She was like, that is not you. Like,
how
old
were you at this time? You're about, what, 23 or something?
Yeah, it was about like 20, it was like 22, 23. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't talking to my parents, and she was like, you're grown now, you can confront them. And I'm like,
Because that's what I did.
I'm like, yeah, I can't confront them.
Because she was just talking hella reckless about my parents. She's like, fuck them. They did us wrong. They did me wrong. I'm grown. I made it without them.
She said, but you angry though.
Exactly. I said, but you are mad though. I said, you sound like you got a lot to get off your chest. You should probably tell them that. And thank God that our parents were receptive. If you're a parent out there,
please, let me just don't
send this little clip. Send this little clip that we're about to say to your parents, your grandparents, because I realized that the only reason why it was easier for us to confront our parents is because our parents are very empathetic.
Yes.
Our parents never denied what they did.
They
acknowledged everything.
And even if they didn't remember, they said, I didn't know I was doing that. I apologize. This is my mindset.
They took full accountability and responsibility.
When I say that worked wonders.
That works well. Like that helped us have the best relationship in our adult years with our parents because they weren't denying it. The friends that I have that do not have good relationships with their parents because of childhood trauma are all the parents who are in fucking denial. What are you talking about? They be like, every time I try to talk to my mom or my dad, they just fly off the handle, start yelling. I'm like, dang, people are so angry about the past. Like, they don't want to deny it. Just it's okay to say I was wrong.
Right.
It's okay to cry it out. It is all fucking okay to say that shit hurt me, that I hurt you.
Right. And it's okay.
It's okay. I was not in my right mind.
Don't be so prideful that you would rather risk the relationship with your children that you like say it never happened, because there's nothing worse. And I don't care if it's a friendship, a marriage, or a partnership, or your parents. When you know that something happened to you and people deny, it's like you're going crazy. Like, don't tell me that it didn't happen when I know it happened.
Right. And I had a friend or whatever, she said that, you know, her and her sister went to visit their dad, and she was saying how, like, her sister was kind of like talking to her daughter, which is like maybe like 2 or 3 years old at the time, maybe 5 or something like that. Like, just talking to her a little aggressive. And basically, the dad was like, you know, their dad was like, why are you talking to her like that? And they, you know, my friend's sister was just like, I know you don't talk to us way worse than that. And he really said this, and it made me really just love how people are developing and growing. And I was like, I love that about your dad. Like, he really he said, look, back in the day, I wasn't in my right damn mind. He said, when I talked to y'all like that, I was wrong. Like, I should never done that shit. I should have never. That shit is so, like, that made my heart melt.
Because it really will turn your mental.
Because I bet you now she's a lot more soft with her daughter. I bet right now she's just like, man, like, parents, you just never know how much you can help your kids by just acknowledging what you did. Now, if he would have been like, I didn't do that and I had my reasons for, then she would have been like, motherfucker, well, I got my reasons or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But he was just like, I was highly stressed at that time. He said, I was doing this, that, and the third. I had all this going on. I was not thinking right. He said, I've grown now. I'm a real man now. Right. And he said, I would never talk to you guys like that again.
That's beautiful.
And I was like, that's so beautiful. Fucking beautiful. That is so
beautiful. Because you need
to
hear those things from your parents. It's never too old to grow, to love, to develop new things, new relationships, new bonds. Because thank God the last 10 years of my parents being on this earth, we've been very, very close. And I don't know where I would be or how I would feel, because my mom has been in and out the hospital many of years. And I remember one time when she actually had a flesh-eating virus. My sister, once again, she was like, you're so mad, but if your mom died, you never got to confront those things. And you have some more trauma on top of, and guilt, on top of that.
I be telling people, like, tell it how it is, even if it ain't pretty, because if something happened to that person, my mom... And this was like over 10 years ago that this happened to her, maybe like 11 years ago or something like that. But when it had happened to my mom or whatever, I was just like, this could be the end for her. Like, if she make it through this, you better let her know, because like if she would have passed then you know, or if my dad would have passed in and that's a whole nother, like, I didn't even get a chance to talk to them. There's so many people out there living with that regret and that guilt. I know people in my family living that regret. It's not cool to not be not talking. And I get it. Sometimes.
And it does develop different things, drug habits and anxiety and sleep deprivation and all kinds of stuff.
Yes. And if you ever got a parent, I would say this is how you would sleep at night, because if you have one of those parents, because I hear a lot from, like I said, people I know and my friends and family, they say like, our parents are so off the damn chain, just so off the chain that like, I said, you need to text it, send it a voicemail, and just say, I said, don't even argue with them. Just say, look, when you're ready to talk, I'm here. You know, I just want to let you know we ain't got to have a screaming battle or whatever, but I do want us to get some things off, our chest. You did hurt me, but I'm not saying that I hate you because you hurt me. I'm saying that I want us to build, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to tell your parents, I want us to build a relationship. I want us to be cool, because at the end of the day, I still love you. No matter what happened, I still love you.
But I need you to acknowledge this pain. But I need you to
acknowledge this so we can move forward. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, even if you can't say that to their face, text it to them,
write a
voicemail, write a letter, something. That way, if something, instead of not talking to them, if something did happen, you can know that you released that.
Right.
You released that energy, and at least they knew what it was before they did have a chance to pass. Because ain't nothing worse than having something to say. There's a person that had passed that I didn't even get a chance to, not my mom or my dad, but there's a person that I didn't get a chance to apologize to and make amends with that had passed away or whatever. Give me a little chunk of, you know what I'm saying? No, but, and I can just imagine if that was my parent, I'd be very hurt. This person wasn't even a parent. This is just like, a person that I knew for a long time or whatever. Oh, and before we get on our caller next, I just want to say one thing. I just got to a point where, because I was talking about how people are afraid to address their trauma or whatever. So I get it, like if you buried it, because sometimes or whatever, like even though I didn't bury it, it was like in the back of my mind. And when I used to even talk about certain things in regards to my childhood or how I grew up, that shit used to make me cry just because you relive in that moment. It makes you feel like you're back in that moment and you just want to fucking just...
And I'm not gonna lie.
You turn into that kid that you were and you start fucking crying or whatever. So I can imagine a person who they buried that they buried that memory or that situation to be a survivor so they can move on to protect themselves. So I'm not blaming anybody or whatever, but I'm saying like, what I would suggest, what would help me, think about it a couple times and cry. Talk about it to yourself in the car and cry.
Right.
And it might, because it literally took me years to talk to myself about it before I could start talking to, that's how I prep myself to talk about it with you guys here today and other people. I can literally, like, every time I used to mention, like, me having, like, a hard childhood or my mom being just, that shit's just, waterworks, just the tears coming out. But I talked to myself so much about it that I've had so many conversations with myself about it that now anybody can ask me anything or I can see somebody going through and I'm like, it's okay, like, and totally walk into it with confidence. Like, it's all, like, not even feel any type of, not like I don't feel any emotion, but I'm saying it doesn't hurt me anymore. I know that that's just an experience that had to pass and I had to heal from it. And I know that I'm healed because I'm not crying anymore over it anymore. You know what I'm saying? So crying does not mean you're weak. You know what I'm saying?
It heals the soul.
It heals the soul, man. It's like your soul is slowly healing. And
I just want to say one more thing before you get the caller. It was a point where I thought my life was so bad and nobody cared for me. I used to hope to die as a kid. I said, I bet you if I die, somebody's going to cry for me. And I just want to be somewhere looking down at somebody caring about me.
I definitely felt that before.
I ain't gonna cry. That really, that little, I just like, damn, that's crazy. Like, I remember sitting in my closet crying, saying like, I thought I was adopted too.
How did you think you were?
Because I knew I was always a good person. I was like,
She's like, I'm a good person. These motherfuckers is wild. I know I don't come from this family.
There's no way I'm in this family. I love my mom and dad, but I was like, there's no way. So, shout out to Sandria and George for doing the best they could and trying to instill what they could in us. And we're gonna take it from here.
Yes. So we got our first caller. This is my friend Vic. He is a New York firefighter. well, ex-New York firefighter, just recently retired. But Vic is on the line right now. What's up, Vic?
Hey, what's going on? To your listeners and or watchers.
Yeah, and I need you to be a little bit more, I need you to speak up just a little bit so people can really hear you.
You're having a hard time hearing me?
Nah, I got you now, though, but I'm just saying you got a pretty deep voice out of it. Just project a little bit.
Do you want me to make my voice sound like this?
Nah, I didn't say use white voice. I said project. Nah, but today we're talking about generational curses and childhood trauma. And, you had a very unique perspective on when I talked to you earlier. And I would like the viewers or the listeners to hear your side of how you grew up, like because you were basically speaking from a perspective of, I would say, like, you spoke from a perspective of, like, you said you were a child who you knew your parents did bullshit, but they used to always teach you guys not to do the bullshit that they were doing or whatever, and you kind of, like, followed along and listened. But I was letting you know that, like, 75% of the time, kids usually model what their parents do instead of what they say. It's kind of like you can't tell your kids, I need you to eat healthy and you need to eat more salad so you won't be constipated. But then every chance they look up you eating Twinkies and hot Cheetos, everything to clog your damn bowels up. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? So what's your whole take on that?
So, all right. So when it comes to things of like generational curses, right? Let's just say we'll call it generational curse. So for me personally, when it came to my parents and their marriage, there was so much going on, right? So my father was abusive. My father was like an excellent mechanic, but he was also like a big time drug dealer, right? So my mother was on drugs and her siblings were all on drugs. So, my cousins and I pretty much all had to deal with that situation growing up. Some of us dealt with it better than others. Me, I was the only male that had to deal with that. And the one thing that's different between me and them is that I grew up with my parents up until I was like 12 or 13. They, on the other hand, they never grew up with their parents. Maybe they did. Maybe my oldest cousin, maybe she did 1, 2, 3 years with her mother before going to live with my grandparents.
Right.
And I can see it in them where it affected them and how they resent the fact of what happened to them growing up. And most of them, like me, don't do drugs, barely drink or whatever. And but you can see the impact that it has on their children, how they operate with their children and things like that.
So you say you had more of a solid foundation than they did. Like your foundation was more
time. Yeah, I have more time with my parents. So I also got to see a lot of shit, right? So I got to see a lot of things that maybe I shouldn't see, but it was always an explanation, right? So it wasn't like I do this and blah, 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 blah. It was I do this because this is what my life this is what my path has led me to. This is not your path. Stay away from this, blah, blah, blah. And it was never one of those.
Oh, so your parents explained it to you. They didn't just say, don't do what I'm doing. They explained it to you.
My mom more so than my dad. Like my dad was, this isn't really happening in his way of trying to parent. But my mom more so. So everything. Huh?
No, I said he was like, this ain't happening, and just start blowing in front of you.
Right. So for me, it was explained to me, and my mom was always real with me from everything from sex to drugs, right? So whatever you could think of, that's what's going on. So for me, when I look at it and when I see people dealing with the stuff that generationally happened to them, usually what happens is it's one extreme. They usually go to an extreme, right? If their mother was a poor parent or they were physical with them and borderline abuse, then their notion is, I'm going to not do this and I'm going to have to do the exact opposite with their kid. And it can have an adverse impact on their children, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't chastise their kids, so now their kids are fuck up, right?
Right.
So you have to kind of find that
balance.
Balance.
Yeah.
Right, to where you can say, hey, this is what happened. Like, my mom instilled a lot of great parenting techniques. And that what she went through was her own personal demon. It has no impact on me, right? Mm-hmm. But for those you live your life. If you're doing that, then you're allowing that to be a crutch of why you didn't accomplish what you wanted to accomplish, or you're resenting the fact that your parents didn't have the most spectacular lifestyle set up for you. And you let that hold you back from doing what you might want to do. Like, you know what I mean?
I ain't gonna lie, that was my excuse for years. Like, all in my 20s, every time something happened to me, I'm like, but you don't know how I grew up.
Right.
You don't want these problems.
So for me, right?
Then I realized that's not a fucking excuse.
Right. If you were going through that, you were like, damn it, I wish I didn't live here, right?
Right.
I wish I had another family. Me, on the other hand, I was like, damn it, I wish I was with my mom. Because even though she was going through her addiction problem, from the naked eye, you would have never known, right? Because she handled her business the way she had to handle her business.
So she was a functional.
She was, right. But she was also super hands-on as a parent. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of us look back, like, I was abused. And, you know, I would talk to some friends, we like talk about the ass whoopings we got. I'm like, I really only got spanked 3 times in my life.
Hey, I just told my viewers, I said, you really only need 3 good ass whoopings your whole life. You don't need that many. You don't need it. You don't need to be beat every day.
It's the one you get, like I always tell people, like with my kids, there's that one ass whooping, right? It's a nondescript ass whooping. I just slipped out and bust your ass. And then the other 2 are because you've done something.
Right.
And so one is a nondescript ass whooping. One is because you've done something, and another one is just a reminder that I will fuck you up.
And they come at different ages in your life, right?
Right, at different ages. Like, you know, the very first one is like between 3 and 5.
We said like 7.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
Because you need that shock value.
Yeah, you just need that real quick, that little reminder. Who boss?
Right.
I'm your fucking boss.
So
Until further notice. Okay, what's the other age?
And the other age is like teen, right? So anywhere from 13 to 15 before they start feeling themselves.
Yep.
So now you're like, I don't punch you dead in your fucking face. I don't want you to think that it can't happen to you anymore because, you know, you're a good kid. I don't give a shit. I want to beat you just because I can. And now you're straightened out. So now you know you had times in your life where you were straightened out, so you know not to fuck with me anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
look, I get what you're saying, but like you could let's smooth it on out for the audience. We're not gonna say abuse or beat. We're gonna say how you said, just line them up and straighten them out for the real world.
Line them up.
Line them up.
You give them a good straighten them up so they know. You straighten them up so they know, like, okay, I can still get touched. You know what I mean? Like, you coast for a very long time, and then one day it's just bow, slap right in the damn mouth, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't know. But with that being said, I can see how people can allow that to happen, but still, some of the things of your own doing, it's like when you tell a child, because I'm 43, so the way things happened to us when we were growing up in school is completely different. Nobody was calling ECW, BCW, ACS, whatever child protective service you have. No one was thinking of calling that on their parents. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So your life was
shit,
rough.
now the kids is calling. You're like, what the hell?
But as a kid, you didn't know your life was rough. You know what I mean? Because most of the kids around you were kind of suffering through the same thing.
Right.
Man had that 1 or 2 kids who had all the fly shit, but he lived in your same neighborhood. So he really wasn't popping as much as you may have thought he was at that time. And you watch people go through this stuff, and they grow up and they crutch it, right?
Right.
The first thing they did, my parents was on drugs, give me those crutches. And then that becomes their parachute for everything that happens in their life, even though they still have control over their grades. They still have control over the people they interact with. So when it comes to that topic, as a person who's had to live through those things, from every aspect, I've seen it, right? So when things get tough, I can never look back and say, damn, it's because my parents weren't.
So you don't think that you've been affected by any of your, or did you have any trauma, or do you feel like there are any generational curses, or do you feel like you've kind of broken them all, or you didn't really have them in your like you knew that there were curses, but you didn't have them in your psychology to kind of continue them on to your next generation?
Well, okay, so for me, I was very fortunate, right? One of the things that doesn't really happen in the Black culture is psychiatric help or therapy, right? So
Thanks.
I was very fortunate at a young age to have a therapist. Who
got you a therapist?
Who got me a therapist?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
My mom.
Did she go too?
No, she didn't go.
So why did she send you to a therapist?
Because I was one of those kids that, you spoke to as a person, not as a child. So most people when I was growing up never really spoke to me like you stay in a child's place. Even with my teachers, they always spoke to me from almost an adult standpoint. They never spoke at me, they always spoke to me.
Right.
So I would have so many questions and trying to understand stuff, and if something baffled me and my mother didn't know, then she was always proactive in going and say, okay, you know what?
To get the answers for you.
Area of expertise that I know, right? Let's go over here and see what happens. So,
see, your mama's smart.
Yeah, she was. I always tell people I have a great debt to how I am because of her. But when having that happen, it allowed me to see that the blame game is a very dangerous thing that people do when they grow up, right? They look at stuff and they go, damn, I'm comparing my life to other people's lives. And you don't understand that the things that happen to you younger shape the way you are going to be an adult. Or as you grow up, it starts shaping the way you see things and how you're able to deal with stress.
Right.
You don't understand. You may have had a rough childhood, but that prepares you for a difficult adult life.
Yeah.
Right? So now, instead of crumbling when this shit happens, you suck it up. But you may not even know that you're just able to power through situations because at your weakest points or when it's family related, you crumble, right? Like, oh my God, my family. But on a daily basis, you're one of the toughest people walking around and nothing surprises you and you're able to handle things better, right? So you won't do drugs. I won't do drugs, right? And like I said,
so you would never smoke a joint with me? Actually, weed is not a drug, but I'm just playing. No, I'm playing. No,
yeah, I'm sure it's not. But
shut up.
I'm sure you feel that way.
I'm gonna get you to. I'm just playing. No peer pressure.
It's Friday. I ain't got no job.
Right. You got shit to do. You retire, man.
No. But, I mean, it's sad though because when you have this situation going on in people's lives, they don't want to talk about it. I remember when I was a kid, it was very difficult for me to even think about my parents being on drugs. Because again, when I grew up, it was hell, right? So if you had a parent on, now everybody's like understanding of that shit. But if you had a parent who was doing drugs in the 80s, fuck me. It was like you might as well have been doing drugs. You know what I mean? The whole world was so anti-drug. They ran commercials about being anti-drug.
It put a lot of shame on like the whole stigma. Yeah. So I totally 100% understand and agree. Because now I was just telling, Kameelah, like, yeah, we could talk about it now, but back then you could not talk about it. It was a very shameful thing to talk about it. To talk about.
90% of the time, the people you knew were going through the same thing.
Right. But everybody had their shit on silent, but now people are speaking up and
now
people are
like, oh, look. Right. So for me, breaking that, the funny thing is, the generational curse wasn't really with my parents who were addicts. It was with my grandparents who I went to live with. My grandmother, her generational curse is the thing that I had to deal with more so than my mother dealing with drugs and stuff like that. My grandmother did not know how to love her children. I'm sure she loved her children and her grandchildren, but she was one of those people that openly played favorite.
Not love them, but her parents.
So that was one of the things that I had to deal with, to a point one day I had to ask if my grandmother actually loved me. Like, do you actually love me? And she was like, why? Because I said, I honestly don't feel that way. Because this is not the way love is displayed, or I'm accustomed to love being displayed to me by the rest of my family. Because for a very long time in my life, I was the only male child. So, I was golden boy for the most part. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, growing up and finally realizing that it had nothing to do with me the way she was, the way most of my family members were, it allowed me to go, you're just fucked up. And you don't know how to navigate through your pain.
No. Hey, Vic, I just told Kameelah, I said, one thing we got to realize is we need to realize that our parents have been little kids before, our grandparents have been so you don't know like if your great grandmother or grandfather, and you got to think those are back in civil rights days all the way up into slavery where they was taking the mother out the home to go and rear after the white family and their children. better than she, reared after her own children. You know what I'm saying? She was so, you know what I'm saying? I was just watching, like, The Help the other day for the first time, and all that love she put into that little white baby and just loving her, and then by the time she got home, she was too fucking tired to even love on her own fucking kids.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you never know where your grandparents got that from.
Oh, I know where my grandmother got it from. which is the most amazing thing, because my great grandmother, who lived to 103, was like a fucking saint growing up.
Really? So how the hell she did not?
Okay, you perceive how you're treated as a child, and if you don't ever reconcile with that, you grow up thinking that you had the absolute worst life.
Yeah.
So my grandmother might have felt like, because my grandmother was a hussy. She was fast in the ass growing up, right?
Your grandmother or your great-grandmother?
my grandmother.
Okay.
My grandmother. So you know what they used to do in the South? If you were young and you were having a kid, hey, this is my kid. You're going to go live with your aunt and uncle in Mississippi or whatever, right? We're going to move you out of this environment where you had a kid at a young age.
Right.
So that's what they did. They took my grandmother's oldest son and shipped her off, and she held that resentment for so long, it did not permit her to love the way she should have,
or to receive love,
or even to receive love on a consistent basis.
That's deep. That's deep.
It does run rather deep, and I see it in people. I have a homeboy. He doesn't perceive that his dad loves him, but me from the outside watching his dad, I'm like, my dude, this is how black men and fathers in general, because his dad is like 80-something. I mean, do you understand the era that your father grew up in? The reason why, if I came to get you, me and my boy Steve come to get you, you're on punishment. If I ring that doorbell, your dad is like, where you guys going? We're going to the mall. Oh, okay, go. Why? Because you were too close to your mother and sister. Your dad grew up in the element growing up. If you were under women all day long, you were probably going to grow up and be gay, right? So these boys I know are always around girls. So I want my son to emulate that characteristic. Now, it may be wrong now to say those things or to even view it in that manner, but that's what it was.
Right.
In those days, and the way his dad grew up, those type of behaviors were right. Oh, you didn't take out the trash? I'm gonna punch you in your chest, right? Yeah, you are basically
he was trying to teach him how to do the man stuff. Yeah, right. Man him up.
Right.
Now, even now, I do agree with it. I don't know 100% agree. Like, I do agree with, like, if there are men constantly being raised around, there is no, without 100% of a doubt, even if they don't quote unquote, I'm not saying, I don't even think most men that are raised by all women come out gay, but that could be a fact, whatever, right? But what I'm saying is, I think that they definitely come out with feminine characteristics, how they handle their emotions. Like, we be dating dudes and, like, you handle, like, why do you handle yourself like a woman, like, when you get mad? Like, huh? What'd you say?
Why are you so bitchified? Why are you so bitchified?
Yeah, like, like you roll over and shrug your shoulders like a woman when you mad. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, doing shit that women do when they're mad because they never knew how to handle situation. And I'm not saying, because I do, and that's what I said, this is all about balance. I do believe that whole man up thing, like, I do believe that men should be able to show emotions, but I think it's how you show your emotions. You know what I'm saying? I do think men should carry themselves in a certain way, and I do think that they should handle themselves. And same thing with women. I don't think women are this weaker vessel or whatever. I think women should handle themselves a certain way. Men should handle themselves a certain way. You know, there's a reason why we got these testosterone and what's the other one? Estrogen. There you go, estrogen. It's the reason why we got these hormones, and we have a balance of the two, and some more than others, because it's a way that, you know, that nature designed us or whatever. So I'm not, you know, because I definitely want to break that whole thing of men being too embarrassed or too proud to, not too proud, but I don't know if that's not the right word, but just just not showing emotion. Like, it's okay to say I'm hurt, and it's okay for a man to cry.
But do you understand why there's a reason to that, right? So what we're talking about is generational issues, right? Generational curses and things like that. So you have to look at it from this standpoint. It's for decades, centuries, right? Let's say fuck it, for centuries. Centuries, men have not been allowed to show their emotions, right? So now things there starts to be a shift, right? Men, every 50 years, estrogen in men rises, right? So it rises and it lowers. Or is it 25 years? I forgot. But it goes up and down in men. Sometimes men are overproducing it. Actually, they become more emotional. The thing is, generationally, what happens is those men may get to a point where they want to express this emotion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm only speaking from our culture standpoint, culturally our standpoint,
right.
because I don't care about anyone else's culture.
Right.
At this juncture. So the average male that you may encounter has had a situation where they divulged their emotional baggage to a woman they were dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
They may have cried in front of her. They may have shown some level of weakness. And in a heated moment of passion and arguing, that level of
vulnerability
has been used against them.
And I'm so tired of hearing that from men. He used it against, you know how much shit women get used against? So, it's just so whack. Like, you guys are so fragile off of one thing. Oh, I got cheated on one time. I can never trust a woman again. Used it against me one time. I can never be emotional again. It's like, what all the shit that happens to us over and over again? Huh?
You think it's because sometimes it's a girl, right? And that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not even saying, I have a friend who was molested. Okay?
Okay.
Do you know how hard it is for another man to tell another man he was molested?
Oh, I'm sure.
Even though you know it's a child. So for him to tell me that, I was like, yo, you must really, really trust me. And he's like, yeah, you my dude. And I was like, bet. Him and his wife get into an argument. His wife says, that's why you were fucking molested. Because you're a fucking faggot.
And see, but that's
my ex-wife.
So that's what I'm saying. That's the thing right there, right? Instead of getting like, oh, I can never trust a woman again and da da da. Don't trust that. You have chosen a rotten individual that would go and throw something as painful and as hurtful as that in your face.
Correct.
To the point where, like, it has nothing to do with women. It's that individual. You know what I'm saying? Because there's women that the same, same thing or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know a dude, he told me that he don't know how he would feel if his girl or wife got raped. Like, he's like, I really would feel like, he's like, even though it's not her fault, I just really feel like, what could I do with her after that? And I appreciate him for being honest, but I'm just like,
God damn, dude.
That's crazy.
No, it wasn't like he wasn't trying to be. Not saying no. He was saying it to me from just being open dialogue. He wasn't saying like, I can't do nothing with that bitch. No, he was just saying like, I don't know what to do with that. Like, what do you do or whatever? You know what I'm saying? And that, like how you said, at that point y'all got to seek therapy, y'all, because if y'all don't got the option, y'all don't got the answers. That is something that you have to seek help for.
But I just think that's weird that you don't know what to do. You be empathetic. You hold her.
You don't know what to do. You don't know what to do. I'm saying, he's saying as far as like not know what to do. Like, oh, my girl got around. No, yeah, no. But he's saying like just from like, okay, this happened to her. It's fucked up. Okay, now what do I do as far as like he meant it from like a point like something has been taken away from her. Like, it's so many emotions. He said, like, now I want to kill this person. I don't know if she want to touch me and mess with me. Like, it's just all these different factors that's going on. It's just like...
The question is, when can I hit it again? What will set her off? No, I'm dead serious, right? So those are
triggers.
Plus,
it's just thoughts. Like, he wasn't saying it like that. Like,
the average man is not raised to deal with those emotions. So again, generationally, we are all dealing with stuff that started before us that we are now growing in and trying to navigate this world as full-grown adults and never reconciled with the shit that I did when I was 12 or 15, even in the dating world. Yeah. Right? We're holding on to this stuff, these ideals of this is how it's supposed to be. And at no point in time am I ever supposed to have any real growth. For the average person who believes that they're an adult, their main growth is materialistic and financially.
Right.
I'm grown.
I just
my own bills.
Man,
this, that, and the third.
Tell you, man, about to be. Tell you, man. I'm saying my intuition be on. Like I just said that to a friend the other day. I said the main two. Hold on, what did you say? I said finances too. I said the only places that people I said, I'm looking for a person who wants to grow, who is on the journey of growing across the board. Not just financial, I got to get my money right, but you an awful ass person. Or you you got thoughts of like being conniving or deceitful behind your spouse back, or you fucked up towards your family, or you do your employees wrong, or your coworker. Like, you know what I'm saying? I need somebody who's growing on a mental level, psychological, spiritual, finances, health, physical, like all these different levels. It's like, that's all people think about, like, I'm getting the bag. But yeah, you a whack ass person out of you trash. You're a trash mom, you're a trash ass dad, and they swear up and down, oh, I bought my kids this and I'm providing a roof over their head. They good and that's all I have to do. And it's just like, no, like I don't. And it goes back to like the way you're taught. Like they're not even aware, they're not even conscious that these are the ways that they're supposed to be growing on every aspect. It's not just, you know what I'm saying? You don't just grow with money. Like that shit is sickening. America, the media, the media.
No. What I'm saying, who's teaching them that they need to grow beyond materialistic and financial, right?
Exactly. That's what you said, materialistic and financial. Same. Right.
So in our culture, when do we have the time to grow emotionally, spiritually, outside of financial and materialistic things? We really don't. We don't have, first of all, we don't have the time to fail. We don't have the luxury to fail.
Hey, I'll give you that. That's facts. We do not have the time to fail because we so on the cusp of everything. We so on the cuff. You know what I'm saying? Like when they talking about generational wealth, all that redlining and shit, like, you know, Kameelah got friends, and I'm not saying that no black person in this country has ever come into, but I'm just saying more of us could be coming into wealth if it wasn't for this redlining and, you know, back in our grandparents' days or whatever, like, you know, all type of shit, like keeping us out of certain, it's just all type of shit. Like I said, I'm not saying that that's an excuse, but I'm just saying when you have more money and more cushion, and it ain't even about being rich. When you got more cushion, like if you got
be able to think.
Yeah, you're able to think more when you're not worried about your lights being cut off and you're gonna eat.
Breathe.
You can breathe.
You're able to breathe.
Right.
When you have the ability to breathe, and as a person who's been homeless, the ability to breathe with a job, I was homeless. So the ability to breathe, to exhale, to inhale comfortably, is one of the things that as black people we really don't have.
Yeah.
Right? Because you got to look at it from, let's take Haiti for a standpoint. Haiti owed France $21 billion for their ability to be free. They didn't finish paying that shit off until 1947. From the time they fought for their independence. Do you know how crippling that is to a group of people? So imagine we had to deal. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. They just know France had their independence. Blah blah blah. Yeah, they didn't tell you that. Hey, France also said, motherfucker, hey, we got votes and shit out here. Either you pay us $21 billion or we're going to come and kill you and put you back in slavery. They don't talk about that part. They don't talk about that in 1994. France said, fuck you. We're not going to give you back that $20 billion. That's how generationally we're all fucked.
Right.
That type of shit. There's literally systems in place to prevent you and I to continue.
That keep these curses going.
Right. And then we perpetuate them ourselves.
And then we perpetuate them ourselves. And I was going to say one more thing, like, because not only, like, okay, because you were saying, like, how are men taught this or whatever to, but I think, like, even though you're speaking from in the black community, I think, like, because sometimes, like, you know, you put on a white movie, even, and it's even taught, like, in our movies and the TV shows, women just supposed to be, we supposed to be pick me on a man. Like it's literally embedded in our whole psychology that we're supposed to be like just waiting for someone to choose up on us, and he doesn't know and he has to make his choice. Like this even be in the white movies or whatever, or he's never showing his emotions even in the white movies, in the white TV shows. Like he's hard and he's maybe not as hard as the black people, but I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like this is a man thing or whatever. And of course, you know, other cultures, they're afforded to be more, what's the word? I guess openly emotional than us.
I don't know any other cultures where men are allowed to be openly emotional. The only culture that I know where men are socially acceptable, and for the most part, even a minute moment a second, is the white culture.
Yeah.
The rest of the cultures in the world have a machismo thing.
Yeah.
They do. If you look at India, the Indians, if you look are when we have this debate, when we have this discussion, and I speak to women of color, and I'm like, listen, you actually have it good. Yes, there's certain things that we need to iron out, which, honestly, if we would start having open discussions and stop fighting and just hear each other out, we could fix them, or at least patch them up to move forward. But the rest of the world, the way the women are treated in the rest of the world, generationally, they're fucked. They're so far behind us.
Yeah.
But the thing that they do that we don't do is that they marry their women. But the reason why they're so eager to marry their women is because it garners them a certain level of control instantaneously.
Yeah.
So the men that grew up here in my era, in my generation, we were taught not to try to control you. We were taught to hear you out. We were taught to understand where you're coming from and say, hey, you are my equal. So now you're talking about something that was generationally pushed onto us. So now it's a constant conflict because we're being told one thing. I was raised with not putting my hand on a woman, right? That was the thing. You never hit a girl. There's no ever reason to hit a girl. What if she spits in my fucking face? I'm dropping her.
He said, I'm dropping her.
I've seen women, but I've had situations where, again, my mother was an abused woman who herself said, and I quote, if a bitch puts her hands on you, you put that bitch on the floor. This is an abused woman who said that, right? Because nobody should be hitting anyone. But socially, generationally, we allow certain behaviors back and forth across the board. When certain, and I hate this word, toxic behaviors should not be allowed by either gender.
Either. I agree.
They can get away with it.
I agree. Because I'm teaching my son, it doesn't, just because a female is a woman or whatever, it doesn't give her the right to act crazy and irate with you. I'm going to tell her, like, you can give her a chance and back up. You ain't got to drop her instantaneously unless she has a weapon and you hurry up and DP her real quick. But I'm saying, like, if she just walking up on you, put your hand out, push her back, tell her to get up off you or whatever. And if she come with them swinging or whatever, you might have to strong arm her real quick, because I'm going to get upset if my son comes home with marks on him because he said, oh, I let this girl hit me and beat me up because I not let her, because now I'm going to whoop his ass. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and find her mom and I don't know. I'm a dog walker, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I'm just, yeah, we got another caller, Vic, but I really appreciate your input on all this stuff. You even got me thinking a little different on some stuff. I really appreciate your input. So anything else you want to add to, or anything else you want to let the viewers hear about whatever it is you might learn, or some type of pearl you can drop before you go?
Sure, there's always a pearl I can drop before I go. So, thanks for having me on, number one. And number two, the thing that I always try to stress to everybody is we're so caught up in today's society of trying to be something that we're not, and we're forgetting the most important thing, which is the empathy, right? Empathy is the one thing that we all have, right? You can look at someone suffering, and the reason why you're able to feel that is because you yourself have been through some suffering. So I feel that empathy has fallen so far behind that we're forgetting that we're all here together. And the easiest thing that we can do is close our mouths and hear somebody out and let them tell you what their pain is. Not even so much so you can fix it, but just so much so that they can get it off their chest, out of their spirit, right? You have to allow people to be hurt. And even if you don't really receive it, just allow them to be hurt, to verbalize it to you. All the time, you don't have to respond right away. Sometimes you need a moment to digest that and sleep on it and then give your response or then give your opinion. And it may help them to see it in a different way. So that's just my thing for the end of this call, is just to, realize that you are an empathetic being, that you feel pain the same way and you can understand someone else's pain. So sometimes the best thing to do is just listen and let somebody speak their pain. And I'm out.
Well, thank you, Vic. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. I can't wait to have you inside of in person.
Pause.
So we could shut up. Yeah, definitely pause. I'm saying inside of our building, I'm saying on the Ameerah Explains It All. So, so we can so people can see the face behind the voice. I'm saying this guy, he has a lot of good insight about a lot of things. So, yeah, I appreciate you coming on today. And, yeah, I'll talk to you later, Vic.
All right. You gotta go.
All right, bye.
That was informative.
That was very informative.
All right. Well, let's see what Mary has to say.
So, yeah, this is who? Mary?
This is Mary. I've known her for about 10 years, and she is just like...
What is she? What does she do?
A
What is she
charm.
about? Like,
she's a hairstylist and a mother and just a beautiful soul, and her mother is a beautiful soul. And hello, darling. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Welcome to the Ameerah Explains It All show. And we're talking about, that's right. And we're talking about childhood trauma, some things that has happened to you.
Generational curses.
And generational curses. And how you overcame those curses and what you're doing now to fix those traumas, if you still have them or if you're still trying to fix them.
or if you have any at all.
Or if you have any at all.
All right. Well, hey.
Don't be scared. You can say whatever you want. You know, this is not a censored show. You can be as raw and as vulnerable and as, you know, as reckless as you want to. Just don't cuss out the host and you all right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, for me, I noticed I was suffering from childhood trauma when I just started to pay attention to how I was reacting to stuff and when I was coming out of character with certain things.
Are you talking about anger issues?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely the sweetest person, you know?
But I told her. I said, this is Bay right here.
Okay. No, I remember just being younger and I knew I could switch real fast, if that makes sense.
0 to 100 real quick.
Something to me. Somebody would do something to me, and then I'll just be super angry, but then I'll feel really bad about it, you know?
Yeah.
So when I finally got mature enough and I got more in tune with the spirit, you know, I pretty much was just trying to figure out why I am the way that I am.
Okay.
And I never really had too much guidance or somebody who could kind of tell me well, maybe it is childhood trauma. But I kind of figured that, you know, just from, of course, the internet is a great source of sparking, you know, certain things in the mind.
Right.
And the way that I guess I healed from it was.
Wait, before you start, do you mind sharing what certain things that you went through that may have triggered this anger?
Oh, yeah. My mom, she was just super angry, you know, all the time. And she would take it out on us, me, my sisters. She would sometimes be abusive, verbally abusive, mentally abusive, you know, and I would see her, give advice to other people and not, you know, kind of use that advice herself.
Right.
Do you think her anger came from past relationships, or do you think it was passed down from anger from her childhood, from your grandparents? Or do you think it's a combination? Okay.
Yeah. So so she pretty much was abused as a child.
Okay.
So that's how I learned. That's how I was able to kind of heal from it, was to kind of understand her.
Yep.
And her background and where all that came from.
Yes,
and forgiveness, honestly.
Yeah.
Did she acknowledge that pain in you? Did she acknowledge that, you know, she caused some of that pain?
No.
So you just took it upon yourself to forgive?
Huh?
I said, so you just took it upon yourself to forgive her?
I had to, because I don't like myself
being mad.
When I get out of character, I don't like that. You know, I know we all have been super mad and got out of character, and then damn, I don't like this person.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So in order for me not to go back to that person, you know, I had to really forgive her. You know,
and that's dope.
And I mean, I still could pop off any day. But
she it's not a problem.
It's not the Right, it's not the same. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely not the same. I got a lot more. I got a deeper understanding.
And you got control. You got mind control over Debo, right?
I got mind control over Debo. She be talking her mess. And you know what? I know Shorty can't do too much for me. You know, I'm a good 5'7", baby, a good 5 foot. I'm looking at her like, girl.
And so how are you and your son's relationship?
Oh, so much. Like, they're so different. You know, that, like, my mom never told me she loved me.
Oh, wow.
You know, she never told me that she loved, like, I used to have to say it to her, but she would just be so weird about affection. She never hugged me. She never, she just wasn't.
And I would have never got that from you, Mary, because, you know, I met Mary through her mom.
Oh, really?
And I was like, I love your mom, and not knowing like her story, but I was like,
I understand because we have a person in our family. I ain't gonna blast them, but we got a person in our family who their child feels the same way. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, my mom never tells me that she loves me, or my mom never hugs me, and I actually see it. Mm-hmm. But it's because of, this person in our family, the reason why this person is so cold, I don't think it's because of their childhood. I think it's because of their experiences their experiences that they have grown up. Like they probably have just attracted a lot of negative energies in their life, and which have molded their thought process. And you know, kind of, you know, once you've been through a lot, you kind of get cold, you know what I'm saying? So that person got cold toward their child and don't even know how to show their own child love. It's kind of like how you said your mom, you know, she was, you know, very angry from her childhood or whatever, from how she grew up and how she was treated by her parents. And we were just saying earlier in the show how my mom, she was verbally and physically abused, and that kind of made her not want to be like that. So, you know, you can go either way. Exactly. Like you can go super extreme.
Definitely could go either way.
Yeah, so you can. You can go back to finish what you were saying though. But I was just saying, like, you know, that was just very interesting because we had the same. You know, our parents kind of like, you know, because my mom said she was for real child abuse, like beat.
And did you?
My mama too. My mama too. My mama is from Belize, and her mom. Like, I don't know if you know this, but my mom lost her eye at 2.
Yes,
and her mom, and that was from her own mother. Like, they was stolen. I guess. Like, my grandma was just not a good person.
Oh, my God.
And they were stoning her. Girl, she picked up my 2-year-old mom and she shielded herself with my mom. And a rock, a big old rock, hit my mom in the face. And my mom lost her eye. So this was back in the 60s. Belize is a third world country.
Girl.
So they didn't have like good technology. They didn't have like doctors that could treat her. So they had to put her on a plane, and they got her to the U.S. in about 19 hours.
Wow.
And
thank the Lord.
Her eye they couldn't save it. So
my God.
Of course this will even like start more of this will like even. I'll be able to explain even more of like the childhood trauma with this lady.
I think you got to start with your great grandparents, because now you got to figure out why your grandmama was so angry, why your grandmama was so abusive. Like that's real generational trauma.
That's crazy.
It's real generational trauma.
But just think if you didn't change that narrative.
She is changing.
No, I said just think if she didn't.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead,
I never really digged into why my grandma was that way. And the only reason I haven't is because, girl, my family is so divided. Like, nobody really talks to anybody.
That's
nobody
right now.
really keeps in touch with anybody. They just so fake acting, girl. And it's like, it's literally me and my boy cousin in Chicago. We literally we're 4 months apart. We've been hand in hand, girl. We FaceTime every single day.
I love it.
He is my everything, and we're super, super, super close. Like, when I was just in Chicago, we both 31 years old. Girl, why we be crying when we leave each other?
That's what's up. Her cousin? Oh, yeah, her cousin.
So we the only ones. We the only ones that's close like that. And you know how, like, when you talking about, like, deep, dark stuff like that, everybody act like it's a secret.
Oh, my God. We just was talking about that. Like, it's secret. Like we need to talk about this.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
no.
So you're right. I do need to find out why my grandma was that way, but like honestly, I would have to get that from police because I was the first generation born in the United States.
So do you think that you can get that info from your mom? Or you don't think she would? You don't think your mom would talk about that information about her? Not necessarily y'all, because she may not be ready to unpack the situations with y'all. But do you think that she would unpack what has happened to her mom and the things she knows about her mom and her grandmother?
That would be something that I would definitely have to talk to her about. You know, like sometimes I hate asking her stuff because she's not 100% honest. Mm-hmm. So it's like over the years, I've just learned to take what she says with a grain of salt. And like I know certain things are true that she says because her brother would confirm it or her sister. You know what I'm saying? But you know, when you got lying ass parents, you just be like, girl, I just don't know.
Right. So do you think you and your sister got treated differently, or do you guys think you shared the same experiences, or was your experiences different?
Okay, so me and my middle sister were treated almost the same. My mom was, it almost like, honestly, my middle sister was a little worse. Because it's like my mom just had something about her. But really, to me, my mom, she just does not, like, she does not hold herself accountable for anything, right?
We were just talking about accountability.
Her truth.
We were just talking about that.
She does not know how to live in her truth, and she doesn't even understand the power.
Oh my God!
Like once you be honest with yourself,
it frees you.
You can be. I'm telling you, you're free.
Yes.
I don't care what you done. The deepest, darkest, dirtiest shit. If you can be honest with yourself about it, can't nobody use it against you. And I tell her all the time, you gotta free yourself because mentally, you know, all the stuff that you've done, you're like, you're judging yourself for it before
you're trapped
anyone
in
else can judge you. You know what I'm saying? So it can show in the way that she moves because she can be socially awkward or like she just feels like everybody is against her. But that's
oh my God! I can't wait for you to see this episode so you can see that we literally just said that. Like that's crazy.
I can't wait to watch it too. You know you my soul sister.
I know, babe. They don't even know. I said that's my Pisces boo right there.
They don't even know.
They don't even know.
It's so true. Just go on.
So what age were you when you're like, no, you know what? I'm not gonna be angry anymore. I'm gonna change the narrative. I'm gonna be this new version of myself now. What age were you?
Okay, so it was when I had my son.
When did it start?
Oh yeah, when did it start?
It's never like a quick. It's a gradual.
When did it
gradual thing.
Right. Okay. So it has to be like when I had my son, right? Because
and how old is Jew?
Jew is 9.
Okay.
And so when me and his dad was together, it was so toxic. It was a whole bunch of just angry. Girl, I would put my hands on this man. I ain't never put my hands on a man. And, you know, like it just, and the way he was treating me too, you know, that kind of triggered me. But it's like when I had my son, I did a whole bunch of self-reflecting, like a whole bunch. And stuff just started coming to me. I just wanted to own everything. I wanted to own everything about me and my sister, me and my middle sister. We didn't have a good relationship for a very long time. And, you know,
is Cleo the middle sister?
I was just talking about this. Huh?
Is Cleo the middle sister?
Cleo's the middle sister. Okay. Kiana is the younger sister.
Okay.
So me and Cleo didn't have a good relationship for a long time. And I was just talking about this situation the other day because I remember we was leaving a party and she said something to me. And, you know, when you grow up with somebody, you already know them. You know their mouth. You know their attitude. You know when they about to do something.
Right.
So she said something, girl, and I parked my car. I took off on baby.
You took off on your sister?
We drove down. I took off on my sister. Shame on me. But we drove to the gas station down the street. I took my heels off, put some boots on. Baby, I was fed up. And I saw her like she was a female in the street.
Oh, my goodness.
After that, I was like, yeah, no. I was like, no.
I feel like I got a couple. I feel like I got a couple siblings who like they want that out of me, but I don't think they want it out of me. They just trying to take what they really want to take it out on somebody else.
But you're the closest thing too.
Yeah. And it's not even that I'm the closest thing. I feel like I'm like, because I trigger certain things that I challenge. I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a fuck who you, my sister, my man, my mama, my priest, my teacher. I will challenge the way you think if I feel like it's some fuck shit going on in your psychology. So a lot of people don't like when you challenge them to think outside of like their, you know, just who they are, whatever. They think they think that you're trying to press them, or you trying to buck on like them, or you trying to
yesterday.
And it's like, no, I'm trying to really
them look stupid.
Yeah, and I think that, and then if they really don't want to address, you know, certain things, they'll start something with you on purpose just so they can try to have a physical type of altercation with you. So yeah, that's all I meant. Like, you know, they want that. Like, yeah, you say I don't even want to do, because I already know how it's going to end. Like, after we box, like this time, because it's one thing, like we boxed when we was kids. But I feel like if you're an adult and you can't control yourself at this level, I just don't want nothing to do with you. Right. Like, if we're going to fight, let's fight against some real enemies. Let's fight against, like, you know, especially to where I've grown to, you know what I'm saying? Right. Because if I was just as angry and just as triggered as they were, then I can understand. Let's brawl and then we can all heal together. But, like, I'm at a different level now mentally. And if you're not smart enough to see that, I just don't want nothing to do with you. You're just not smart enough or intellect or psychologically developed enough for me to be around you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So after you fought your sister, then what happened?
So like my mom had called me the next day and she was like, "What happened to her face?" And I just felt so bad. I was like, "Damn, that's fucked up." You know, we didn't talk for a while, and you know what? I'm happy that we didn't talk for a while, because when I talked to her, I really didn't want to play no blame game with her. I didn't want to go back and forth with her about, you did this, okay, so I did this, you know, I did this. Mm-hmm. I wanted to just own everything. I wanted to like pass the fight.
Right.
Because it was like, you know, if I fought her like that, then it was some deep shit built up.
Right.
Like, so I told myself, you know, whether she owns what she does or not, I'm going to make peace with everything, and I'm going to own my shit.
And we just said that earlier, too. Even if people receive it or not. I said, we just said that earlier, too. Regardless if people receive it or not, speak your piece so you can let all that go.
Yep. And that's what I did. I came to her, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to sincerely apologize for, you know, fighting you, putting my hands on you. And, you know, I just got to talking about stuff from, you know, back in the day that, you know, going on with our friends. I'm like, I used to treat my friends better than you. You know, like I was like owning all my shit, you know? And, you know, I just apologized to her. I'm like, I don't expect you to be like, I guess, just
like open arms
to what I'm saying, but I'm gonna just leave it at that, you know, and you let me know what you want to do moving forward. But of course, like, we love each other so deeply. Me and her are like 11 months apart.
That's what's up.
You know, even she get on my damn nerves, but I had to just make peace with who she is, and so I don't take it personal when she does certain things. You know, like. Mm-hmm. It's never about me.
Right.
You know,
she hasn't faced her own traumas yet, so she might still be lashing out, her spirit is trying to figure it out.
Yep. That's how it is with us. Yep.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. People are not always on the same journey as you are, you know?
Exactly. So I just had to make peace with who she is and where she was at in life, and who I am and where I'm at in life. And I just let her know, like, we ain't never going to reach this point again. I will never put my hands on you again. I want us to be able to talk stuff out and not get offended, because that's an issue in our family. Like, everybody acts like if you keeping it real, you're attacking me. Why?
Oh my God.
Do we got the same family? I swear to God.
No. Why?
Girl,
Nobody wants to take accountability. I can't wait to have this conversation with multiple family members.
We need to rent out a hall to have this damn conversation because I think
it needs to be individually first because everybody's just gonna start yelling and it's not nothing is going to get accomplished if everybody just get all in one room. Like I think individual conversation needs to be happening and then we can all get together.
Right.
But
exactly.
I wanted to ask one more thing. So does Juice see your mom, like his grandmother, on a regular basis? Because I have a follow-up question. Like, since your mom has,
I don't know, is she a better grandmother? Because sometimes they make up in the grandparent department when they wasn't that great in the mother department.
Well, do you stop? Like, if she does try to get like that with him, do you be like, no, this is my son. Like, ain't nobody talking to him crazy. Like, I want to know their relationship since she hasn't faced her trauma.
So she know not to play with me. Okay. Everybody know not to play with me about my baby.
No, she loves that.
One thing for sure is that I'm very upfront and I know how my son is. Right. I don't sit there and try to sugarcoat nothing. I know how my son is and I make sure that I'm always constantly like on him about certain things. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And if they have an issue, y'all are allowed to tell him about himself. Don't put your hands on my baby. But y'all are allowed to tell him about himself because he does need to hear it from the people who love him. Right. She does have a better relationship with him than she does with me, but she's still not that type of grandma to where she's like, oh, bring him over, you know, and I never was that type of daughter to where I'm always dropping my baby off.
Right.
Do you feel like if your family members, whether it's your mom or sister, uncle, cousin, whatever, if they were more like you, because I say that all the time, like when I have kids, I don't want nobody in my family except for maybe like my sister. She can chastise my child as far as like disciplining them physically, but I don't trust these other people enough to make good enough decisions or make a good enough call on what is in the proper, like disciplining and the proper amount of discipline. I don't trust your discipline because you haven't went on that journey to even heal yourself. So how you gonna try to chastise my kid and you still doing fucked up shit? Do you feel like that? Is that why you say don't touch them, but you can talk, or are you just still saying nobody can touch them at all, or you just don't feel like they're where you're at? Yeah, like you don't feel like they'll make a good enough call to where you'll feel comfortable. Like I feel like if when I have a child and if my sister give my child a spank, I'm not gonna ask why or what I know that it was a reason. Like she's not just gonna be beating my kid for no reason. She's not gonna, like, I already know.
Exactly.
You know, do you feel like that?
I do. And then on top of that, like, I'm not a big, like, because my mom was so abusive. Oh, okay. So it's
your personal thing. You don't do that anyways, regardless.
Yeah, I'm not really, like, I'm the type of mom, like, I only whoop you if it's really something serious.
Right.
Like, I just, it's that trauma. Once again, you know, I can't. I'm not that, like, and I don't judge nobody that do that. You know what I'm saying? Raise your kid how you raise your kid, whatever works.
But that's how it's supposed to be, though. That's how it's supposed to be. I don't feel like kids are supposed to be beat all the damn time or even most of the time. I feel like if you're teaching lessons, kind of like,
you gotta talk to them.
You gotta talk to them. Because when they grow up or whatever, they can't think that it's okay to get beat by their homies, you know their girlfriend, boyfriends, anybody.
Your friend was the first person I ever seen give their kid a whooping, sit them down right after and say, do you know why I did that? Shelly. Oh. Because you remember that day when she was little, but she like was talking back to you or whatever, and she was just not listening. It was like one time, and then we were over there, and you told Shelly, she was like, you wasn't listening, like, oh no, get in the room. And she really sat her down. It was a quick little spanking because she wasn't used to getting spanking, so it was more of a scare thing.
Right.
But I've never seen a parent whoop their kid and say, do you know why I did this?
And then after they explain to them why and let them, I think it's all about understanding.
Apologize.
And then after you make them apologize, then hug them and tell them you love them and say it's going to be okay.
I was just like so like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, you explain the ass whooping.
I could get you on the phone right now, and I always do that because I really don't like putting my hands on him. And I always tell him, I'm like, do you understand like why you got a whooping? And I let him answer it.
Right.
Because I need to know that you comprehend exactly why you got this whooping. I need you to know what the problem is and what you need to not do again.
Right. Well, I'm so happy for your journey because, like, even though I haven't been around you a lot, but I got to get back to seeing my boo more often. We just, trying to develop our personal lives. But I just love how you and your son, I watch you guys from afar, and I just love your relationship. Like, he looks like a happy, healthy child. Like, you can tell that, like, he's very respectful. Like, all the times I've ever seen him, he just looks like he's going to be a beautiful young man when he grows up. So,
and another, yeah, you're doing a good job. And another thing I want to say is that's some real stuff. I was emphasizing so hard on, like, if you're a parent, or I said, like, before you even got on the phone, I said, if you're a parent and your child is telling you something or whatever, to take accountability. How you said your mom doesn't live in her truth, and the reason why, because I was saying the only thing that saved our parents, like our relationship with our parents, and I realized that not all parents are like our parents, because when I talk to other friends and family members that said they try to reconcile their relationships with their parents, the first thing they say is like, you are never, like, they're not trying to hear me out. They're so defensive. They're so thinking somebody's trying to attack them. Like, our parents sit up there and took it to the chin, really crying. Yes. Fucking tears running down their face. Right. They was like, you're so right. I'm so sorry. Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry how this
Because it shuts down the anger immediately. Because like, my dad said
you can't even be mad no more because you're like, okay, they admitted it.
Right. I was like, ooh, that's all I wanted. Like, I know I wasn't crazy. Like, I knew I wasn't crazy.
Yeah, when a motherfucker's trying to make you seem like you're crazy, that's when the shit is like all bad. Like,
I'm telling you.
And even like, and we got. I'm sorry, we got some parent, and I'm not gonna lie, like my friend Vic said that was on the phone. He said some people, they actually perceive their childhood worse than what it is. So you gotta know, is your child perceiving it worse than what it was? And even if they are perceiving it, still be empathetic and let them know, and still let them know where you come from and what you mean. And if it wasn't, and you was on some fuck shit, say, damn, I was really on some foul ass shit back in the day, and I'm so sorry, I'm not that type of person anymore. I apologize. But I think that the reason why a lot of times they don't do that is because they haven't, a lot of the time they just probably haven't grown in that area yet.
But give them your Instagram. Let people know where you at. My boo is a hairstylist and all that. So sell yourself, Mary. Go ahead.
You so funny. I hate saying my Instagram name because it's so long and it got so many underscores. But it's Mary O.
How to what?
My Instagram is it's Mary O. It's ITSM_A_R_Y_O. And then my hair page is _the MO collection _.
And you're based out of Las Vegas, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I just want y'all to know, you know what I'm saying? My boo can do some hair, okay? She can.
Okay, play that thing.
I'm not joking. She used to do my hair back in the day, you know what I'm saying?
All y'all that like to party, come to Vegas.
Used to wear weaves,
right, when baby used to wear weaves, I'm on my natural journey now, but if you still like them weaves, she got the bundles and she'll install it.
Hey, and she
ain't ripping out edges.
She do last minute appointment. I mean, but you want to make an appointment ahead of time.
Oh, no, she's booked all the time.
Oh, she booked and busy. Never mind.
Listen, Mary, you remember how I used to call you? Like, hey, call me when somebody canceled. I never used to make an appointment.
You used to be blowing me.
But boo, I'm going to see you. Thank you for being on the show. And then when it airs, I'll shoot it to you.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Have a good night.
You too.
Ooh, y'all,
that was a nice little show.
That was a nice show. And moral of the story is accountability. Listen to understand. You don't have to be right. Even if you feel that you didn't do that, just say, you know what? I didn't think I was doing that. This is what I was coming from, or this is what I've learned. Like, you guys, like, it will save so many headaches, heartaches, you know what I'm saying? Because when I say my mental wasn't right until my parents acknowledged what they did, and I just love them for it, And
for the parents that are not acknowledging that, like I said, it's okay. Cry it out. Your feelings are going to be hurt. It's okay. But go in, the next day and go to sleep with that peace, knowing that you got to say what you had to say off your chest. And even if you didn't get to fully say it, I'm telling you, I tell, one of my family members, one of my little nephews, he wanted to write, he wanted to express some things to his father. And I'm just letting him know, like, look, like the best thing you can do or whatever is write a letter. I said, get it out, you know what I'm saying? And send the letter to him. And, I said, you got to be ready for if he does not respond. Be okay that you
did your part.
You did your part. You know what I'm saying? You let it out. I said, you can ask him, like, did you get the letter? Yes. Okay, cool. And if you don't want to talk about it, then just know, like, at least that person knows how you feel. So, and like I said, like that's your parents. They brought you into this world. I know you love them. People want to have these, better relationships with their parents and their siblings. I would just say, because I'm even doing this, like if not within the next week or two, I got a couple bones to pick in my family too, or whatever. Like, I'm really about to just like acknowledge like stuff I've been holding back. Like, I'm going to just let people know how I really feel, and wherever the cards may land, that's where they're going to land. But at least I know I got my truth out and I'm not holding back anymore, trying to preserve and save people's feelings or whatever. Like I'm so tired of it. And it's like, it's reached its boiling point, its head, it's come to its head, and I'm cool. So
with that being said, love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Yeah, and heal your generational. First of all, identify your generational curses and heal from your trauma. You know what I'm saying? Because how you were raised definitely molds how you are as an adult. You don't just have a fucked up childhood and just walk into adulthood like, yeah, I got this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it does not work like that. You know what I'm saying?
You're still holding on to that 7-year-old.
You are that little person still. You're just a bigger little person. You're a big person now, but you still have that, even though you've learned new skills and emotionally you're that person. You probably got a job, you're probably making more money, but emotionally, psychologically, you're still hurt from those situations in the past. So I hope that this show, you can talk to your parents, your grandparents, try to get these answers, try to understand, try to be empathetic to, your family and where they come from or whatever. I try to do that all the time. And even if you don't deal with them, wish them well from afar. So that's all I got for today. Thank you for tuning in to Ameerah Explains It All. I'm Ameerah, your host. This is Kameelah,
a.k.a. the Sun Goddess.
And we'll see you again another time next week. Gotcha. Got me in my feelings. Gotta be real.
Just ask your mom this.
Mama, do you love me? Are you riding? Hey. Cause I want you and I need you. Mama,
and then ask your dad.
Daddy, do you love me?
Are you riding? So you never.
And then put on this song. He was clown like.
And I want you and I need you
and I'm down for you. Hey! Hey!
Gotta make some choices. They running out of options because I've been going
Hey, at least Daddy was right out of her.
What?
We almost got her fucking 2 hours in.
But you and Vic?
Well, that's because, I didn't even know it was right on time. But